Hello, Bloomers. Jillian here. This episode, we'll be speaking with Renée Hilliard, a gynecologist turned somatic intimacy and relationship coach. In this first half, we talk about somatic therapy, the importance of having a conscious presence when working through emotional issues, and the value of interpersonal relationships for your overall health. You guys, this is a juicy one. With all that being said, let's get on with the interview.
Again, thank you so much, Renée, for taking this time out to speak with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So,
All right.
if I can start, my first question is, what is some somatic intimacy specifically?
Yeah, so the concept of somatic healing is really focusing on the energy within the body. So, if you think of emotions, most of us think that emotions come from here, but they really are the way that energy moves through our system. So if you think of some of our language is around it. So if you think of, it felt like somebody punched me in the gut when they told me bad news. That's what emotion is. It's felt in the body. So when we're storing energy in the body from emotions that haven't moved through us, because a lot of times we feel limited in our ability to express emotions, it can actually be stored as stuck energy in certain areas of the body, and that can cause discomfort and also lead to illness. So somatic intimacy coaching is around looking at where energy is stuck in the body and helping move it through the body so that you can be well.
That's so true, because I feel like, if someone's bothering you, like, you're a pain in my neck. You know what I mean? Like, you say that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Or, you're like, oh, like, you're like, a thorn in my side and all this other stuff.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think we intuitively know these things, but we just don't have a lot of language around it in our culture. We've had the experience of somebody calls you with bad news and your heart sinks, and so we know that those things live in the body, but our culture just doesn't put a lot of emphasis on feeling into the body, feeling where the emotion is, and even just emotional expression is not something that our culture is really big on, but it's starting to gain some momentum, and we're seeing a lot of different healing therapies evolve, which work with the body and the energy system. So I think it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. What are some ways, like you said, there's more information about ways that you can help tap into your body and kind of more understand that? What are some practices that you recommend for people who are wanting to kind of release some of that hurt and pain they feel in their body, or tap into that?
Yeah. So it depends on where they're starting. So some people have a fair awareness of what's going on in their body, and I meet people where they are. So if people have never been in their body, there's some people that are walking around like a brain on a stick, like they don't have any awareness of what's going on in their body. So in those cases, I'll start with some pretty simple practices, just like scanning the body from head to toe and seeing if they have any sensations in different areas that when they bring their awareness there, that they can perceive. And some people are really challenged with that. So, sometimes I'll even have to start with something simple like, touching one hand with the other hand. And can you sense the temperature of your left hand with your right hand? And, just stroking your hands and feeling the subtle sensations there, just to get the body, feeling those little simple sensations. But some people are very challenged by it. They want to pop into their mind and talk about their thoughts, their monkey mind, and then they have to be kind of coaxed back into their body to access those sensations, to be able to work with them and do the healing. So.
Okay. I love it. And what kind of made you initially want to get into, somatic healing and, helping people in that specific, way through them embracing their sexuality?
Yeah. So I practiced gynecology for 20 years and in conventional medicine. I did obstetrics for about 18 years, and then I started just doing gynecology. And what I noticed is that there were some things, some conditions that went along with physical disease a lot. And one of them was anxiety. So I had a lot of patients that were severely anxious, and they would come in with multiple medical complaints. And I felt like the anxiety had something to do with their physical complaints. And not that they were making it up, but they were actually getting sick from, their emotional state. And there's this concept of dis-ease causing disease. And I really started to believe that that was the root of a lot of illness, not all, but many illnesses can be traced back to dis-ease in the nervous system or in the mind. And if you think of people that are type A personalities that work all the time and they're, very driven and stressed out, they are at risk for heart disease, strokes, all these kinds of things. So it really does matter what kind of state your system is in as far as risk of disease. So I started doing some exploration around that. I actually had a background in psychobiology or neuroscience. My degree was in that in undergrad. And so I've always been really interested in mindfulness training and how the mind influences the body, even the concept of the vagus nerve and how high stress states can influence your organ function and that kind of stuff. So that's always been, that's what I read for fun. Like I'm kind of a nerd, to be honest. But I started exploring more of that for myself, just because I had a lot of stress and things like that. And I was like, what's the best way to manage this stuff? I'm not a pill person. I don't like taking medications. I would go to yoga classes sometimes. I would do massage, but I started exploring what kinds of practices I could be doing myself, meditation, those kinds of things to help ease some of the stress in my nervous system with a high stress job. And I wasn't sleeping properly. And plus I was going through menopause and those things. So when I started exploring that, I started seeing some of the online trainings on sexuality coaching, somatic coaching. And I thought that I would go through that training to be able to add to my medical practice, but I learned so much in that. And I really felt called to change careers and go down that path because it felt so important. And there aren't, a ton of people doing that kind of work. And I just really felt compelled to do that. So.
That's amazing.
Thank you. I totally agree. Yeah. I feel like, sexuality, mental health, talking about your emotions has become so stigmatized. And, it's something that, everyone wants to just kind of like brush to the side. In your opinion, why do you think that it's so hard for the Black community to really be open about their mental health or their trauma or, a plethora of those things within that realm? Why do you think there's so much stigma out there?
Yeah, I'm not sure where that stigma comes from, but it definitely is there. My mom's a psychiatrist. And so, even growing up, I knew that there was that stigma that, some of her white colleagues would have women that just as part of their normal maintenance, they would just see a therapist. They felt that was important to live a healthy life. But compared to some of the Black patients that she would see where it was like undercover, like nobody can know that I came here for mental health, and they were reluctant to take medications and things like that because they didn't want the stigma. I remember a time, even when I was in my medical training, that they passed some kind of a mandate that you can't have mental health records as part of discoverable health record just because it was impacting people's work and stuff like that. If people had a history of mental illness, even depression or something, it could be used as a reason to terminate their employment or not hire and that kind of stuff. Yeah. And so that was something that came about in my training. That was in the 90s. So, but there is there's a cultural stigma against mental health in general, but it's getting better. I see more people, really thinking of their mental health as something that needs to be optimized, and they're more willing to go to counseling and coaching and things like that just to try to live a fuller life. And I think they're starting to realize that your mental health is key in having a joyful life. But definitely the Black community is a little bit behind in adopting the idea that mental health is really important, and not having that stigma attached to it. But I'm not sure exactly where that comes from.
That's a question I always think about. because my mom, she is in the medical. My mom is a surgical tech, and even with her knowing about medicine and everything like that, that being something she's practiced, like she herself still is like, no, like I don't want to talk to anybody. I already know myself enough. Like I can heal myself. But I do feel like you're saying there are a lot of things you can do for yourself, like meditation, being mindful, exercising, doing yoga, stuff like that, that kind of help, move the energy in your body and make you feel better, bring those endorphins and stuff in. But, I still feel like there's something to be said about speaking it, like voicing it and having it be received by somebody else and having that constructive advice and guidance with your emotions, because I feel like it's hard for you to be in it and be like, objective about what's going on. Sometimes you really need that like person to like, guide you along and notice things and be like, okay, like I hear what she's saying. Let me see if I can help her or that person, I should say, in any direction. So
Yeah.
I always wonder about that.
Yeah, exactly. There's actually some studies now coming out that show that conscious presence, just being in a conscious presence of a therapist or counselor or coach is healing in and of itself, even if you do nothing else other than just be present for somebody as they express, their pain or express whatever's concerning them. The better you are at holding that safe container for somebody to express themselves, the better they get. And there's been some knowledge for years about bedside manner in medicine. Most people are familiar with that term, but eye contact and really listening, intently to somebody's issues and that kind of stuff, even without doing anything else, it heals. So we know that conscious presence heals. And so, that's where most of the medicine is, I think. And then also, just hearing yourself express stuff, a lot of times you'll figure out things in your own mind, just talking to somebody who kind of guides you in the right way. And, you'll hear yourself say things and you're like, why do I think that? Like, where'd that come from? So I think that's one of the benefits too, but yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. And so one thing also too is, with, baby boomers, we're all about, creativity and being able to push past, having, mental, emotional blocks, or even just being an introvert or having anxiety, and being shy. What's some good advice for you for people who are feeling like shy or not feeling like they can really push past like that imposter syndrome, or how to heal that within themselves so they can kind of be fully present with themselves so that they can like live life fully and in turn be able to express themselves, like you said, to like the fullest of their ability?
Yeah. That's a really important question. I've battled with crippling shyness for years, like most of my young adulthood, and I still have pieces of it that will show up in certain settings, like in a party or something like that. I'll feel a little bit insecure, but a lot of it is there's a perfectionist kind of mentality that goes along with shyness. I've found, working with other with clients and then also with myself, that there's this idea that I must be perfect. Whatever I say must be perfect. And you're very, very concerned with how somebody else receives you. So there's a people pleasing aspect to it, or validation that you're seeking in the other person. And I used to walk around like, shape shifting and code switching, trying to please the other person I was talking to. Like, was that pleasing to her? Did I do okay? Like it was like I was on audition all the time for whoever I was talking to. It's like, what does this person want me to talk about? Let me talk about that, and so there's a perfectionism that goes along with shyness. And one of the things that helped me the most was just learning to love myself as I am, not needing to be anything other than who I am. And that included looking at everything, not just the things that I thought were good, but looking at all aspects of my personality and embracing all of that, it was a tough road to go down, because there's certain parts of your personality that you're like, I wish this was never printed on the front of the New York Times, So you have to think about like all of you. And if you come to accept all of you, you really don't feel that shyness anymore. It's like, this is who I am. You can take it or leave it, but this is who I am. And, like not everybody's going to like me, because there's 7.8 billion people on earth and everybody has different tastes. And, so, I brought a lot of people through that coaching process, and it's really powerful to just see yourself as the totality of what you are and accept it. And we're not really taught to do that. Look at the advertising. It's all about, you're supposed to look a certain way, you're supposed to speak a certain way and all this stuff, and trying to fit into the box like we were talking about before, just trying to contort yourself to fit some ideal out there of what you think that people would want. And if you turn it back on, this is my full expression of myself as I am, mask off. Some people may not like it, but I just have to be okay with that, because it's just the truth for everybody. Not everybody likes, there's some really likable people in the world that I follow that not everybody likes, so it's impossible to please everybody. And if you're a people pleaser, that's where your work is just learning that there's no way that you can satisfy everybody. So just satisfy yourself and, your loved ones. And that's, kind of the focus for me. So.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's so real. I'm like, oh, everything you're saying, I'm like, guilty. I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty.
You know what?
Yeah, because I definitely feel like
Oh no, I was just
Go
gonna
ahead,
say, it's cool. You were mentioning code switching and people pleasing. We literally had that conversation, like trying to pick the questions to ask you today, because we were just like, do we want to talk about just like the issues in like the Black community? Do we want to like include more like overarching questions so we don't alienate like anyone, like any person that's not a person of color that's gonna watch this, like looking back and like stepping back and saying, we are people of color, we want to talk about these things to help our community. Like, we shouldn't have to try and tailor our conversation and like water down what we want to talk about to possibly placate like a random person that watches this. So I'm really glad you mentioned that as well, because like even like just us as people, like we were just talking about that with this project. So thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, one of my mentors said to me that if you try to satisfy everybody, you end up falling flat for everybody. Like just decide what your message is going to be and deliver that, and the right people will show up for you that want to hear it. And sometimes it'll be surprising, the people who do want to hear it that are not people that you predicted would want to hear it, so that was really important for me to learn from somebody else.
Definitely. Yeah, because I feel like, especially now in this, specific political and social climate, everyone is kind of walking around on eggshells because no one wants to say the wrong thing. Everyone wants to be inclusive. Everyone wants to say the right thing so that like everyone feels welcome. And I feel that, like, just like what you said, just being authentically you and, expressing experiences that, matter to you. You're, like you said, you're going to have people that are going to be like, okay, like I identify with her, when she speaks, I'm just like, that's me. And, you don't have to really, like you said, worry about, okay, how can I contort myself for the masses? Because there's like, how many people in this world? There's going to be your tribe that you find and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, like how, because, within your profile, you had brought up, that having like meaningful interpersonal, connections has been and shown to improve your longevity and overall the quality of your life. Like, how do you go about, still if you're a person who's shy or wanting to create a community, how do you really know how you found people and how to maintain those relationships when you found someone you feel like, okay, connect with, for you to feel like, okay, and maintain this and it be something positive?
Yeah. What I really have found for myself, just if you think about, like the joys in the journey, the joy in most people's lives comes from interpersonal connection with people, whether it's family or friends or children or whatever. And so if you want to have a joyful journey, if you want to have a joyful life, that's one of the biggest pieces. I mean, if you think about, you have a relationship that's on the rocks or it's not going well, it's one of the things that can kill your joy the fastest, right? So if you want your experience to be happy day by day, one of the most important things is cultivating meaningful, relationships that are satisfying and that are nurturing to your soul and that kind of thing. And part of the coaching that I do is really teaching people how to look at relationships a little bit differently. So one of the things I notice in a lot of people is there's a adversarial relationship with partners, and not necessarily that they're fighting all the time, but it feels like me versus them, or, you know, like there's this, you know, if they win, then I lose kind of a feeling. And I coach people to look at yourselves more like a team, or like, you know, like your teammates or allies. And so, you know, there really is no win or lose. It's like, what can I offer to this partnership to make it the best partnership it can be? You know, if you think of a sports team, it's not like one person wins. It's like everybody contributes all they have to the team. So, so it takes you out of this, what am I getting out of this so much? And I was guilty of that in many of my earlier relationships. It's like, you know, this person's supposed to be pleasing me. But when I realized, you know, this person has no obligation to please me, and I need to focus on pleasing myself for one. So I'm full, you know, filling myself up first. And then I have something to offer the other person, and, you know, looking at how can I most fill my cup up first so that I have something to offer the team. But really just going through the world, looking at what can I offer this person? What can I do to support this person? What can I do to learn this person a little bit better, so that if something comes up with them, if they get triggered, or, you know, they get upset about something, instead of assuming it's about me, what is really going on with this person? Because I know their backstory enough to know that this person's triggered because this is reminding them of something that happened years ago. And so how can I mitigate this so that, you know, they're not uncomfortable, and looking at how I can be in service to the other person more than you know, what they did wrong. And all of us make mistakes, you know, even just being humble enough to say, I'm not perfect. You know, you think you are, and you're like, this person did this and this, and I don't like the way you did that. I don't like the way she did that, but I'm not perfect, and that's okay, you know. But it's great that the person I'm with sees that and also still loves me, even if I'm not perfect. You know, I strive for excellence, not perfection, because perfection is just not something that humans can do. But when I'm not acting perfectly, if I have a partner who, you know, is like, oh, she's anxious because, you know, her mother has an issue going on or something, and is tender around that, and, like, you know, helps to ground me and comfort me and support me, I know how important that is for me. And I, you know, probably 10 minutes later, I realized that I've been less than, you know, an angel. And then I can apologize for my behavior or whatever, or shift it to something else. But if somebody's coming at me like, you know, you're doing that thing again, or it's never going to go well, you know. So how can I offer that to the other person? And you can actually influence the way a relationship is a lot on your own, you know. So people think about, oh, if I have, you know, coaching, I have to come in with my partner and they're never going to want to do this. And especially in the Black community, I see that a lot of Black people are reluctant to get any kind of outside help. So if you are somebody who wants it and your partner may not be on board with it, you can actually do a lot by just doing the work yourself and influencing their behavior by the way you act. So, you know, you can induce somebody to act more maturely and conduct themselves in the partnership, you know, in a calmer fashion or whatever, by the way that you behave. And it takes two people to fight, you know, it takes two to tango, whatever. So if you just are one of those people that's like, you know what, I'm not going to engage with that, it will call out more mature behavior in the other person. And I find that that's really, really useful too.
Language that you feel like you could give somebody who is experiencing that type of situation, where they can kind of have that and be like, okay, like if I experience this is something I can say or something I can be mindful of, so that I can be able to express it in a way that I feel comfortable.